Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel. Okay, so it has been a while since I filmed a video. It has been a long while, and I am actually filming this on my phone. I've had a lot of stuff happening with my health, my personal life, my work life, that I just felt the idea of filming videos and making content just seemed like one more added stress that I just could not do. So I took a step back. And I don't know that my life situation is any better, to be quite honest. Well, some of it is, but my life situation isn't bad. I'm just saying that I had a really big health scare, and I had a lot of tests done. They're still not done. And they came back, that I didn't have cancer, which was the big worry. So I feel very happy about that. But I just have felt like, when I started my channel, the reason that I started it was because I needed like an outlet. I needed a hobby. I needed something to help me relieve stress. And that's what this channel has been for so long. And it isn't really, at times it has been stressful, and they're all stresses that I put on myself. Like I put on deadlines on myself to have this type of content come out at this time, do one vlog a week, read these books. And I like having like goals and things like that to meet. But with everything that's been happening for me this year, which I know I'm not telling you anything about, and I'm sorry, like it's just stuff I want to keep personal, but it just felt like making bookish videos stopped feeling like it was a release, and it just started feeling more like a burden. And so I took a little break, and it wasn't until this weekend that I had this desire to make videos again. Like I've been wanting to make videos. I've had a hard time finding the time. One of my biggest issues in making videos recently is the idea of editing them with my film camera. So I'm actually filming this on my phone, and I'm not sure how long I'm going to film on my phone. I want to make content, but I want it to be easy to do for me. And right now, filming with my camera and editing on my computer is just like more than I can commit to. So may not have any pretty B-roll, but hopefully I'll at least be able to make some content and talk about some books. So with that long intro, I just want to say thank you so much for being here for me. I've gotten some messages from a lot of you asking how I am, and I love and adore you, and I just appreciate all of you so much. I'm so grateful for this book community, for the people who watch my videos. I just feel really lucky and blessed to have this. So, okay, sorry, before I cry. So what I wanted to talk about today is I was away this weekend with my husband. We were on just a business trip for him where I was invited to, like spouses and partners were invited. And so I had some time to read, and I was in the middle of some arcs, and so I finished those. And then I had what is a rare thing for me where I was just like, I can pick an ebook or just a physical book to read that isn't an arc. And like that, I have committed myself so much to arcs this year, which I need to pull back on, because that's another thing that's adding unnecessary stress to me, that I very rarely get to just pick up a physical book and read it. So I had finished some arcs, and I thought, I've got several books sitting in my KU, my Kindle Unlimited library, that I want to try, that I would love to get to, that don't have an audio available. So what I thought I would do is try a chapter of each of them. So I did that, and I'm going to talk to you about my feelings about the first chapter. So at this point, I haven't finished any of these books, but I do want to talk to you about the first chapter, how I felt about them, if I wanted to continue or if I didn't, and why, because I feel like that can be interesting. So the first book that I picked up was Requiem. This is a book that I heard about from Tori. I believe this is a debut book. This is the author's first. And Tori was talking about how it was one of the most emotional, epic romances, and like, say less. Those are words that will always get me to pick up a book. Like that is what I'm always looking for. I want epic, emotional romances. Yes, give it to me. If you tell me that this book is the spiciest book you've ever read, you could not tell me anything that would get me to pick it up less. Like seriously, I am so over spicy books. Hearing about spicy books, I don't care how smutty it is. I literally do not care. I want romance. I want swoon. I don't care about the spice. I've been wanting to say that forever. I want romance, and I feel like it's lacking in so many of the indie romances that are getting published this year. It feels like spice and over-the-top drama is all that the book is about, and that's not what I want. I find both of those to be very boring to me. If you just throw a bunch of drama in there, either doesn't make sense, is over the top, has no impact on the character's relationship, I'm bored. I don't care. It doesn't matter how fast-paced it is. It doesn't feel like that to me. It just feels boring. And the same goes for smut. If it just starts out smutty, if it's all about kink, if it has just nothing but smut, I am bored. I don't care what I'm always looking for. I want character development. I want rich characters. I want emotional connection. I want relationship building. And a lot of the time, the only way you get that is if it's slowly built in there. You don't get a lot of character development right away. And you very, very rarely get character development in over-the-top drama and high smut. There are authors who can do that, but usually you don't. I didn't mean to go on that tangent. I'm sorry. Anyway, Requiem. I picked it up. I honestly didn't really know what this was about. It says that it's a dark academia, which is also interesting to me. I like a good helping of dark academia. I picked it up, tried to keep a super open mind. As soon as I started reading it, the prologue, like the second sentence, had a word choice that felt very off to me. It basically said something like, here's the downside of filming on my phone is I can't look up stuff. So I gotta rely on my memory, which is not great. But it had a word choice in there that felt very off to me. And it was on the very first page of this book. And it said something like pain and anxiety. So we're synced tight around her heart. And it was SYNCHED. And I thought to myself, I think she means cinched. I think that's the word that she is going for, is cinched, not synced, because synced doesn't make sense there. Cinched does make sense there. And I know that maybe some of you are like, why are you being so picky about that? And let me tell you why. Words matter to me. I put a great deal of emphasis on writing. The things that I prioritize in any book, romance included, is writing. I want the writing quality to be really high. So is one word flaw, is that indicative of some poor writing in here? Not necessarily. But what it does say to me is that even if this was an error, if this was like an autocorrect word, whatever happened with this word choice in here, whether it was a misunderstanding of the word on the author's part, whether it was a mistake, that implies to me that this, on the first page, that the editing in this book was not super great. Because if you're going to have an error like that on the very first page, which is usually the most tightly and strongly edited, I know that for me, the rest of the book is probably also going to have some similar writing flaws. And for me, that's a barrier. Like, I'm not going to be able to enjoy the story when I see flaws like that in the writing. Does that mean I think that this is not a great story? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Does it mean that I think this author is a terrible writer? Absolutely not. What it does mean is that, and again, I noticed 3 writing flaws. I'm not going to go into each of them. I noticed 3 of them that for me communicated that this definitely is a newbie author, and I don't want to penalize her for that. But she's making mistakes that I find bothersome, that would not allow me to enjoy the book. And because I don't want to penalize this new author by continuing to read a book that I know is going to have things that bother me, I don't want to give it a low rating, so I decided to DNF it. I also wasn't completely sold on the plot. It did seem like it was tending to go in that direction of over dramatic plot themes, which is just not what I love. I want there to be, I want the drama to be grounded in a sense of realism. I want it to feel real and not over the top. Over the top drama is a big pet peeve of mine. Anyway, I'm ranting. My point is, I didn't get far enough into this book to see if the story was going to hit me, but I know, based on what I prioritize in a book, that if what I saw in the prologue was indicative of how the writing was going to be the rest of the book, I wouldn't be able to feel anything because I would get hung up on those writing flaws. So I DNF'd this book. That doesn't mean I think it's bad. It just means that I know this isn't going to be for me. I will be interested in reading books in the future from this author, maybe when she's had a chance to polish her writing, to have more of an editing opportunity, because I know newbie independent authors, editing is expensive and maybe they don't have a lot of the resources to do that. I don't want to penalize this author for that, but I also know this is not a book for me. So, DNF that book. Now, the next book I picked up was called Restore Me. I had heard about this book from a friend on TikTok, Beth. I really like her reviews. She's very thoughtful. She has a lot of interesting things to say about the book she's talking about. And she was talking about this book in a way that felt like, yeah, this feels like it's going to be made for me. So the basic premise of this is a Black romance, is our hero and heroine have a meeting in the opening prologue. And it's in the past. It says, you know, that it was in the past. And the way that they meet is very chemistry charged. Like, you can just feel this connection that they have. The first thing that impressed me with this book was the writing. It was absolutely beautiful. There was so many moments in here that didn't feel like it was trying too hard, but just laid out exactly how these two people felt for one another in this moment, this first moment where they met, that rang true to me and that also hit me with a lot of impact. Like, there was this moment where the hero says to the heroine, or doesn't say, he has this internal thought, that he notices this darkness in her eyes, and that he feels like maybe she has the same type of darkness that I do, and maybe we could bond over that, the darkness being some sort of like trauma that they both experienced. He sees something in her soul that is similar to his and that kind of calls to him. And I was just like, wow, this is so good. Like, I was very impressed. So other than that, the plot goes on to say basically that the years pass, we go into the future, the heroine ends up a widow. However, she is not, the man that she married is not the man we met in the beginning. It's his best friend. So she married that man's best friend, and then he passes away, and now she's a widow. It's 4 years after he's passed away, and she's trying to move on with her life and struggling with the grief of losing this man that she loved. But the best friend, who, you know, the hero of the book, who we met in that opening prologue, they end up working together on a job, and they've always had this antagonistic relationship. Not quite enemies to lovers, but there's a lot of like antagonism there, and it's never explained for quite a while as to why that is there. We don't really know what happened, why that first night didn't end up with them being together. So this is the book that I actually am currently reading. I'm not finished with it yet, so I don't have a full review on that, but I will say that the writing very much impressed me. The premise was very interesting to me. There are so many, I'm 25% of the way into this book right now. There are so many scenes in this book where the hero and heroine are interacting, and they're sort of dealing with, you know, he's breaking free of that antagonism, and he's showing some tenderness and softness and protectiveness of her, and I'm just like, I'm just dying over it. I'm dying over it. It's so good. I'm eating this up, and I feel like in my gut, I mean, this is a long book, it's almost 500 pages, and I'm only 25% of the way into it, but I have this feeling that this could be a new favorite for me. So I'm like so excited, because I haven't felt like this about a book in a very long time. Very excited about it. So, okay, so then I was going to just go with this book and vlog it, but then I had some issues with filming on my phone, and I don't know. Vlogging didn't happen, but I thought what I could do is at least try a chapter and talk to you about the first chapter. So the next book that I picked up to see if it would hold my interest is Even If It Hurts by Sam Mariano. So I first read Sam Mariano when I was brand new to dark romance. Like, I think I had read a few dark romances, like when indie romance first became a thing, but they weren't the type of dark romance that like Pam Godwin and Sam Mariano are famous for. So I read Untouchable, and I was impressed with the author's writing and her ability to really get you into the character's head. That hero in Untouchable is a psychopath or a sociopath, I'm not sure which one he is, but he is a villainous character. And while I didn't feel like that book was swoonily romantic, I was very impressed with the story she was telling and how she was able to get you in the character's head and really consider how this relationship may be working, you know? Anyway, I don't remember what I rated that book. I don't think I rated it highly because it wasn't necessarily a swoony romance, which is what I was expecting. I don't know why, honestly. Like, I feel like I've definitely grown and changed to where when I'm reading a dark romance, I never expect it to be swoony. I go into dark romance expecting or hoping for a really interesting character, psychological in their head type of experience. And there are not very many dark romances that deliver on that for me, because most of the time dark romance tends to lead into that overdramatic type of thing, which I don't really love. But Pam Godwin and Sam Mariano do a really good job of getting you into the character's head and I just find that a very interesting and enjoyable experience. So I don't really know what this book is about. It's super dark. I know it's a bully. I know this is a villainous hero. Like, I read the author's note. I'm going to include that in the try chapter. The author's note goes into a lot of detail about this hero and how unlikable he is and how he's not even anything like Carter Mahoney, who you read about in Untouchable. So she really does a good job of preparing you for, look, this is not going to be a sweet, swoony, fluffy romance at all. This is going to really, like, he's not a good guy. He's a villainous hero. So I'm intrigued with this one. I read the first couple chapters and I almost went with this one, but I was so pulled into Restore Me, I decided to go with that one. So even if it hurts, it's definitely a book that I'm going to read. I decided not to read it first, but the setup of this, we get introduced to our heroine. We see that she's really a hardworking student. It's set in high school, which I don't love, but I will read that for Sam Mariano. And she also works a job and her mother is ill. And I'm not sure at this point what type of illness her mother has, but it's pretty clear that the heroine is doing a lot to take care of and protect her mother. I think that it's probably a terminal illness based on how the heroine is taking care of her and cleaning up when she comes home, making sure she's like decontaminated and stuff. So the plot of this one, the opening chapter, hooked me. I think the writing is very readable. I think Sam Mariano does a really good job of setting the stage for this book and sort of creating the sense of impending doom based on the author's note, but also what happens in the first chapter. Like right now where I'm at, the heroine is at a party because she kind of pissed off this mean girl, and I haven't met the hero yet, but I am assuming something bad is going to happen at this party. So I'm interested in this one. I am definitely reading it more as a character study, and I'm not expecting much in the romance department. I just enjoy reading difficult relationships. I enjoy reading things from a psychopath's point of view. Like, I don't know what that says about me, but I am interested in this one. I don't know how I'm going to feel about it when it's done. I plan to read this one for sure. So those are my thoughts on the first few chapters of these books, and Restore Me. Like, I am so impressed with this book. I hope it doesn't disappoint. Again, I'm only 25% of the way in. I was going to wait to film this video until I finished it, but at the rate that I am able to read it physically, I probably won't finish it until like this coming weekend. And I just had to talk about it because I am so very impressed and I love it so much. So, all right, hopefully this video worked, that it filmed okay. I'm a little nervous about checking the footage. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you so much for coming back to my channel. I know it's been a while. I love y'all. If you've made it this far, please feel free to leave me any type of leaf emoji because the leaves are changing. Can you see that? Orangish. And I'll see y'all in my next video. Hopefully it will be soon.